What is happening, gangsters? Working on a commercial here. Let's get this into rec. And we're doing this with our JP2499 DRT in the ODT position. So here is, we got this shot and then the shot that happens directly afterwards. Let's get this into rec as well. There we go. So now we can see the difference. So it's very warm once we're in the coffee shop. And then outside is very cool. So we just want to bring in some warmth into the cool, some cool into the warm, and unify this scene. It's only 2 shots, but they do appear back to back. Upon initial assessment, it looks like our skin key is pretty much the same. Since we don't have to do any exposure changes, I think we're just going to start right in with our balance. Let's introduce a little bit of contrast. And we're going to get these looking similar. Bring up a touch of exposure on this. A little more contrast. So let's go to our next shot. This is really, really warm. I assume this is, looks like it was to be early morning. So let's lean into that, but I think we're just going to cool down the shadows just a little bit. Contrast looks great where it is. Might bring this up just a little bit. There we go. Let's go into our splits here. Gonna bring the 2383 tones in. Now let's take a look at the shot again, because that undoubtedly cooled off a little bit. So without the tones, curves I should say, it kind of cools it down a little bit. So we need to introduce a little bit more warmth into that first shot to counteract. There we go. There we go. You see how the blues just kind of sit lower down in the register now. And let's pull a little bit more warmth into her face and into the midtones. All right, now let's compare. We've made some minor corrections here. There we go. That's looking much, much tighter compared to where we were. So you want to see the possibilities of the footage that you're given. You want to see what you can do, and that will kind of inform your creative decisions downstream. Because yeah, there's a heap of room to do whatever we want in both of these shots, right? It's an RE file that's shot log, so you've got, you know, a crazy amount of room to do whatever you want. But artistically, we need to honor the photography and we need to unify the look. So it's our obligation as colorists to do exactly that by unifying these colors. With that in mind, I think the approach on the second shot here is going to be bringing some more blue tones into the lower areas here in the lower part of the frame. And that'll echo what's going on here. And then we'll probably just pick up some of these highlights in the back here and really make that feel like sun is burning in there. And that will echo what we've got here in the lights, if that kind of makes sense, right? Like we're trying to perform some corrections that will provide some visual continuity and symmetry. So let's do that. Let's start here. I think we can add a little bit more contrast. Touch more exposures in the highs. And let's pull still here, because I like the color of her shirt there. It's got a little bit more cyan in the blue. And what we want to do is echo that in this shot here. So let's start shaping this a little bit. We're going to take some exposure out of the bottom. There we go. And then since we just dropped this area, I think what we can do is now add some coolness to that as well. So let's punch some blue and cyan into that. And that's going to raise the exposure, but we can bring that back down. And that has cooled it off. And now we've got these spots back here on the wall here. We've definitely got some room to punch these up a little bit. Let's start with a circle here. And we're going to concentrate on this area behind her. Let's get a nice big window here so we can see what we're doing. And we're going to make sure that's nice and soft. Drop this size down a little bit. And now we're just going to pull those highlights up. Let's try it with the gain first. Keeping an eye on our scopes. There we go. Gives that a nice little punch in the back there. And then I think maybe we can ping. Yeah, you know what? Let's do another window here. We'll just ping this area with some highlight. Let's see what happens here. Oh yeah, look how that just kind of glows up. And it looks like it's accentuating the shoulder here, which is kind of cool. Really brings some more attention to the coffee. Yeah, let's mess around with this edge now. We want to unify this look a little bit, so let's see how we're doing. I think maybe we can warm that highlight up a little bit. There we go. It kind of unifies that portion of the frame there a little bit. And these jars here look interesting. I'm wondering if it's worth doing a custom shape here. Let's just see if this is worth our time. We're not going to go crazy with this to start, but let's just see if this is worth pulling up a little. Add some softness to this. Maybe a lot. There we go. Let's see what happens here. So it might be a little bit much. Let's dial that down a little bit. Overall, I like that. It seemed insignificant before. Now it seems like it has some purpose being there. Lastly, let's take a touch out of the top of this, but just in the shadow. Shape that ceiling a little bit. We're getting a lot of reflected light up there. And I really want to shape her face by dropping this area down. There we go. Yeah, that looks really good. Really good. Let's go back to our previous shot. Let's grab another still of that. And this is going to be our reference for this here. I think what we need to do is unify these shirt colors. So let's do that. Let's take some cyan into that blue. All right, might be a little bit too much cyan. Pull some of that out. And then we'll add some blue saturation. Now we can't fight this too hard because if we make it match perfectly, then it's going to start looking weird. But here's our hue shift. So it's not a huge one, but it just takes some of that blue out. And then we punched a little bit of sat in there too, which is helping. And I think what we can do on the previous shot in our window here, we can warm this up just a little bit. Here we go. Let's play these back, or at least see them side by side. So I think artistically, this is where we want to be. I think the shot on the left feels like daylight. I feel like the shot on the right feels like incandescent light. And let's just check our windows. Let's just track this one quick. Here we go. And our second track, let's track that. Yeah, there we go. One more thing. I think lastly, what I want to do is take some of the red out of here, swing it a little bit more towards the yellow value. Yeah, those skin tones feel a little bit closer now. You can see how similar. It feels like the same skin under different lighting conditions, and that's exactly what we want. This looks pretty dope. This looks super good. I'm really happy with how this turned out. It feels very natural. It feels like we've honored the cinematography in terms of color, tone, and feel. So that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Let's play this down, and I'll catch you in the next one.